Hello, everybody, and welcome to part two of the manga ranking of the week. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Just gonna start that off. It's nice over where I am. It's constantly snowing, so today we're getting into it. Unfortunately, we don't have One Piece this week, though. It's on break until next week, which I somehow missed when reading the chapter, even though I read it like twice, and I still missed that little part of the corner. So this week, I'm actually, if you can see, already seen the title, we have Undead Unluck as the extra series. So I'll get into that in just a bit here. Right now, though, we're just gonna jump straight into this and jump straight into the reading fray. Right now, then, our first chapter that we have to review, first of all, and going into all this, is the lovely Dr. Stone. That is our first one this time, since it was the main one that one last week. And wow, this chapter. Just reading it, it was insane all across the board as far as the series goes. It's the finale of the third, I think I'll call it the third arc, or it might be already be the fourth one. We got the finale of it as they finally get the petrification device. They finally got their hands on how, at least they got the hands on the start of the device that started this whole thing. And he wants to, Senku obviously wants to use it on Tsukasa after what happened at the end of arc 2 with the war that was going on. Yeah, quickly deceased. No, this is just crazy. So at the beginning of the chapter, right away, we have it where Senku uses the revival fluid to get Chrome back. Chrome's all set, he's all healed, which I actually find really cool that it wasn't just Chrome, but then from then on he progresses on getting the rest of the team depetrified. But the first thought that gets from my head is that the fact that they're all healed, like any sickness, disease, wounds, anything like that, they're all healed up from it. And it's really cool because, as we saw with Kaseki, he was one of the ones who was healed. He's like, oh, I feel younger again. So that's pretty cool that happens. But yeah, Chrome realizes immediately that Senku is alone, and which means they won against Inbara, which was the actual case, is that they did win against him. And then from there, Senku and Chrome start building more of the revival fluid, but then they realize that they're hungry. So then one of the first people they bring back from the petrification is Amaryllis, and then after they realizing they get their food, and they realize that everything's too heavy, so then they wake up Taiju to do all the heavy lifting, and then they realize they're not good at cooking, so then they bring back Franchosis. Then from there they start bringing back everybody else one by one. And then they start realizing that Ruri is trying to contact them. And it's kind of a bit weird because they realize that while they're doing things important, she shouldn't be trying to contact them. Because right now they're trying to focus, and she knows she might end up being a distraction to them. So they're kind of finding it kind of weird that she's already reaching out to them. So what they do is they get everything set on the Perseus, and they start building everything back together. We get Ryusai back, and then we get Gen, and then Kaseki comes back, and then they start trying to bring back Yo, and start depetrifying him, and then Kirasame, they also end up depetrifying her as well, just because they realize she's not entirely their enemy, which is kind of how Senku is. He wants to more save everybody than kill everybody, but he realizes that she's not really their enemy. She was just more tricked by Inbara, like how most of the village was as far as the leader being petrified. So they bring her back to life, and then we get the great moment of bringing back Ginro and Kohaku from Ginro's wounds, and Kohaku saving him because she knew that Senku would save them. Ginro immediately starts trying to be a pervert, and Kohaku ends up hitting him and decking him into a tree, which is just a funny gag that they still have going on about whenever they mess with Kohaku. She's just insanely strong and hits them all away. And then she ends up actually hugging Senku because she is immediately happy that, she was freed and she knew she could trust him. It's not like they obviously point out it's not like a romantic hug or anything like that. It's just a thank you from Kohaku. So, and they get the rest of the village together. They celebrate themselves. We even got Suika here in the cut or so. Ukyo's also shown in it too. But then they realize that when they reach out back to Ruri, that there's some kind of code still coming through their telecommunication devices. And they're wondering how is there's another person. And they're thinking that the only other person that could be is the original voice that was pissed off that they were all depetrified. So then on the speakers, they hear someone's voice that states, I think it's 12,800,000 meters, 1 second. And so when they hear that, though, they're wondering the device. When that comes through the speaker, their first thought is we have to keep the device away. And they're like, no, we understand. That's fine. We got it enough away from the speakers before that device could hear it. But the only huge problem of who states the voice was they realized it's Senku's voice that states it. Now, the crazy part about the 12,800,000 meters 1 second part is that is the diameter of the Earth. So the crazy part is that's being said, and that it's being said in Senku's voice, and that is the exact same range that was used to petrify the entire Earth. So, obviously, it's the end of part 3, so the end of the 3rd arc. Yeah, I was right. So, at the end of it, though, you just find out, Senku gets excited, he gets exhilarated, everyone else is majorly freaking out, and that's just how the chapter ends. And that blew me out of my chair when I first finished that. I just couldn't believe that it was actually going to be like that for the team, knowing that, Senku and all them, they're already dealing with a lot, they got the petrification, but then to find out that it's most likely Senku's voice, that sends a lot of messages in your head, like, why is it Senku's voice? Does Senku have like a twin or something from when they were younger that was evil? Is it maybe him from the future or from the past? And he knew something was going to happen to the world, so what he decided to do was to turn to stone in order to save it. There's a lot that could go on because it is basically everything science. Isn't anything could be crazy, and with science being used as the main way to make a petrification device, obviously it's anime, it's manga, so the world can achieve that kind of thing without an entire explanation, but still science is science, and that's specific of how it is used, so we'll be able to figure that out. But it's something science related, it's not completely out of the top related. Thought it was aliens at first, even Senku had mentioned that, or he thought it was some evil government that wanted to overthrow the world, so it seems to be just one man, probably like a team gone wrong. Maybe they had good intentions and one of them was evil, but the fact that we're hearing Senku's voice out of it, that's a major twist, and I'm not ready for how much of the twist this was. It's just crazy. So, but yeah, Dr. Stone, and if I'm right, this is manga chapter 138. So, again, these are also all being read on the main Viz Media site. I gotta learn to start putting that in the video somewhere. This is being used in the main Viz Media site, is where I'm reading these, paying for Shonen Jump. It's not that hard. Pay for it for $1.99 a month. $2 a month. It's not hard to afford. But I definitely wanted to read it on there with the legal scanulations and translations. So right now, though, main story part 4, the truth behind petrification, is what will be coming next. So again, that's Dr. Stone 138. Alright, and then next we have here My Hero Academia chapter 260, which is titled Life's Work. So right away, it's the front page. You can see the Jaku Hospital, and then about 80 kilometers apart is the Gunga Mountain Villa, which I think that's where the Liberation Front is. That's where Hawks is right now, being a secret spy. And then, obviously, Jaku Hospital is where we are with Endeavor and the rest of the heroes, as we're finally taking down the doctor that's in charge of all this. So, I don't know, because starting out, there was a huge controversy with the doctor's name. Apparently, they'd used the writer, Kohei Hirokushi. He had used the name of of someone that was really terrible in Japan's history. He used to experiment on people who were pregnant, kids, things like that. He would kidnap them and do all types of experiments. He gave the doctor a name, and apparently there was a huge controversy from China and Japan about that, and he had to release a huge apology. My take on it is, I don't see it as a big deal. It was something that happened in the past, and there are bad guy names about past all the time. We had Adolf Hitler. We've had Osama bin Laden. Other people to name from a history across, but just because you use their name doesn't necessarily mean you're the bad person for using their name. So I don't think he should have got all the heat that he did get from it, but regardless of that, that's the heat he did get. So right now then, because until they change his name, his official name right now is Maruda Shiga. So I will be using that as I go through this with the doctor's name when there are parts with mentioning of him in the story. But without further ado, moving along. So what happens in this chapter is it just continues right off the way where Endeavor and them caught Maruda in his moments, And he's trying to run, and Aizawa uses, or Eraserhead uses his bindings to grab him by the leg, and immediately Eraserhead uses his quirk on him, and he starts aging. And they notice that he ages the second that he's hit with the eraser. So they're thinking that it's the same quirk that kept All For One alive this whole time. How he's been alive all these years, still strong, still young in a way. And so they're realizing it's quirk replication, which is kind of crazy that instead of just having one person have that one quirk and then, it's passed to the family member line, you can give it to somebody, but you can also duplicate it. So they're wondering if that's like an artificial quirk as well that could be used on that. So I don't know, because the next part kind of makes it controversial that it might not be that, but it might be something else overall. But they realize that he is the one who provided One For All with the technology again. They've been knowing that, and they're confronting him. And it's funny because it's Mike that's like super pissed off at this guy right now, because obviously in the last chapters we found out with Eraserhead and with Mike's friend, and Mike and them, that Kurogiri is most likely their old friend brought back to life. So that causes like a huge, like, they're emotionally pissed off at this as well or whatever. But then some of the other people in the hospital start coming in trying to defend him and realize that he's a good doctor, but the rest of the heroes are there and they're like, we're evacuating the hospital. They're not going to explain anything. They have to get this guy, because if they let him go at this moment, they're going to be screwed over. So right in there, they start telling people, in case they need to fight Nomu, let's evacuate the entire hospital. But then right away, the next panel when you go over, you realize that Mirko, she dive kicks into the morgue, and she's ready to go down in there to see if there are more Nomu right away off the bat. Because they know that without the doctor's orders, the Nomu are just useless. Without anyone giving them direction that is under the programming for them, they're just useless. They won't do anything. They won't move. Kind of like the original Nomu that we dealt with back in USJ in the first arc or so, when All Might took him on. They have him under custody, but he still won't talk or won't speak, and they realize that. So then, right now, then Aizawa lets him know that the people you tinkered with and tossed aside are all saying, this is our payback. Because, he's still pissed about the Kurogiri thing. And so the doctor starts playing around. He's like, no, have mercy. But the Nomu are already on their way. Mirko lets Endeavor know that they're coming. As they all blast through then, they start tearing away at the doctor as like a drill Nomu. And he starts killing at the doctor, but the doctor starts disappearing away. And he's like, if you knew I had replication technology, you should have been careful. And then they realize it's twice his quirk. The guy who could make himself multi-clones, he made a clone of the doctor, and the doctor is still in his underground laboratory, still working on Shigaraki and all the other villains. He's actually making more Nomu, it looks like, but this is his life's work. He starts getting pissed off of it. Murata doesn't know what to do from here. Well, basically, he knows that he needs to get the crap out of there and get his lab fixed up and cleaned up from there. And then as they go through and on through it, Mirko starts blamming her way through. She's just rushing through all the Nomu. And then Mirka, am I saying his name right? I'm trying to think. I'm probably saying it wrong, which is fine, whatever. Maruta, he realizes he's got a tough call to make, but he's like, your walk is over, Johnny. I need you to warp Shigaraki and me out of here stat. Which is the Nomu that can teleport. It's the one that like makes the weird stuff come out their mouth and they move around or so. I think that's the same warping one. It's a Nomu connected with that quirk, so he tells that one, we need you to get everybody out of there. But then, this part is so sick, because then from here on out, Mirko bursts in the wall, and she splats the Nomu that he needs for warp. And to me, she's like, are you the real one? And the doctor just screams and is freaked out. And that's how the chapter just ends right there. And it's so funny because it's because he was relying on it, and like we thought that the doctor, you get the sense of the doctor, oh, he's gonna get away or whatever, but no, he's legitimately connected to the hospital as she busts in there, and he's immediately caught. And so what I'm worried about is like he's still experimenting, and usually this is where the villains actually probably end up breaking out of their cases, and she either ends up dead or brutally beaten. And Shigaraki, as we know from the last chapters, he got a major power boost with his, not just his mentality, but the experiments that have been going on. There was supposed to be like a 4-month trial for him to go through, and then he would change. So the doctor said that he wouldn't change now, so maybe there'll be like a battle, and he'll get to finish his progress later, or something like that. But Shigaraki is going to most likely pop up and take down some of the heroes by himself, and just show just how fearsome and menacing he is now. So, like I said, we already saw one time where he was grabbed one person, but his disintegration spread on from a whole bunch of people from there. So, yeah, that was My Hero Academia Chapter 260 in its fullest, and man, again, that just that ending and how it played out was funny and it was great and it was actually a really nice chapter. Just continuing from it, it was just mellow, not all insanely hype, not insanely crazy, but it does build the foundation for next chapter, and the next chapter is the 16th, so that's exactly next Sunday from today. So super excited for that one as well. And lastly but not least, we have Undead Unluck. Now this is a series that is only on its fourth chapter. Fourth chapter just came out today. It's different. It's funny. It's got that shonen anime style. You got the fights right away, the epic story, the things that kind of the main setup for it, the little romance, but over the top sexuality with it sometimes. So it's a pretty funny series. So I don't know if I'm gonna do like a full review of this latest chapter. It's just kind of something I did want to talk about, and just something I might go through eventually as a series, or maybe this might be added on top of the other one. So we'll see, because right now still low, but I thank you all for the views and likes that are going on. But basically, synopsis is that there is a girl. Her name is, Fuko Izumo, and she has a ability where she has really bad luck. And basically, if you touch any part of her human skin or any human contact, like skin to skin contact interaction with her, her bad luck will affect you to where you could either be struck by lightning, killed by a meteor, ran over by a truck, fall from some kind of building, an explosion. Anything that you could think of that's unlucky can happen just from touching her. And she's about to commit, basically at the beginning of the chapter, the first chapter, she's about to commit suicide. And because she's just afraid of who she is, her ability, she's not sure what it is, but she knows that she has terrible luck. Well, then she meets who is now known as Andy Undead, Undead Andy, and basically he's like wondering why she's trying to kill herself, and she says she has a special ability that is so unlucky it can kill people, and he's like wondering about it, and so he touches her, and immediately he falls down and is hit by a train. But then he scares the crap out of her because he regenerates and comes back to her and lets her know that that's kind of a weird ability you have. I need to find out more about it. From then, it becomes a wacky thing where he wants to use her as a way for him to finally die, because he just can't die no matter what you do to him. But he wants her to give him such a bad experience with her unluck by the way of touching her that he'll end up actually dying. And he goes so far as to like actually grope her or kiss her on the cheek and things like that, mess with her. And then he realizes like the longer he like holds her head or holds like her hand or anywhere on her skin for a longer time, when he lets go, depending on how long he interacted with her, that's how bad and severe the effects are of what could happen. So so far, like I've said, he's had a thing to where they were being chased down by another organization that keeps those kind of people. They're called the Negators, where they kind of negate those abilities and try to use them for their own gains and own ways. And right away in the first chapter, there's a situation with them where a meteor ends up falling from the sky. So I don't want to say too much, but it just comes down and it's just so unlucky. It's pretty cool too the way it is. This guy, he can die no matter what, so he doesn't care about his body or whatever, but he takes good care of Fuko. But she's completely creeped out by him, and he is just trying. He's basically, his goal right now is to make her fall in love so much that they'll have enough skin interaction to where he'll finally die and not be able to come back to life. And she's not really for that. She's just kind of want to die or live her own life free. But you can tell as it goes on, she'll feel more and more safe with him, and would be sad to ever lose him, and will maybe hopefully get rid of it. So for irony I find of it is that she has a bad luck ability, but her hat says good luck. And that's always funny. And then she has this diagram of the dead Andy. Here's his body. And the funny thing is, like, Andy does end up naked a lot, so the note she has is seriously, wish he'd keep these on. It's a major issue with his pants. So it's just a funny little manga series. I recommend reading it. Most likely, if I don't start pushing it in this one, maybe I'll start pushing the next one. I have to reread it again just because I decided to read it on a whim, because again, it only has 4 chapters and it just started. And it was being promoted right there on the Viz Media site, and I thought, hey, why not read it? And it's exactly what I did, and it was pretty cool because, again, as you go through it and realize that this series is just really funny, really great, really nice, and you're just kind of curious as to what they're gonna do. So yeah, again, I'm not gonna touch too much more on it, but yeah, that was my main review for that manga series. So, hi, random jump in here because I didn't even say it at the very end. I didn't state which was my favorite manga of this week. So, I didn't really review Undead Unluck to a point where I could state it was the top ranked of the one. So, it's between Doctor Stone and My Hero Academia. This week, again, it was Dr. Stone. For me, it just took away my breath. Just kind of like, it was the main end of arc, the part 3 arc, but then now we get the beginning of part 4, and it was like that moment of just, you see things are safe, and then you see things are progressing, it's nice or whatever, and then at the end it has a twist for the next setup of the next arc, and that it blew my breath away. Just, I legitimately had to put my phone down when I was reading it and just had to take a deep breath, calm down. I was like freaking out, like what was going on? So My Hero Academia was actually really good too, though, compared to last week as far as how I felt about it. The nice little build up we had with Maruta and then Mirako at the end, and then the heroes, and then Mike being very emotionally upset. Like the build up's getting real for them capturing the League of Villains, because to me, the League of Villains have always just been kind of silly in a way, and that's like from when the series first started. I didn't take them as a threat, but as more as I'm reading the series over again, or reading things here and there, or watching it even with my sons, you kind of realize the big threat that they actually are and can be through the series, and just the heavy hitter we got with Kurogiri, M. Mike, and then with Eraserhead. Just kind of like the reveal of that being their possible old friend is just insane. And how twisted that is and how affected they are means there's a lot more heroes and other people that were mainly affected overall. Just like the whole Chisaki thing and Eri. Like that was just messed up and dark. Even though it's getting good and getting really higher up there for me, like, depending on how this would have went and how it's kind of going with One Piece and Wano, if we just had just those three, most likely it would have, again, been One Piece being last with the progression My Hero Academia is making. But with the way Dr. Stone's been going for me, too, I'm giving it the number 1 spot in this. So, sorry for the random plug-in, jump-in, and most likely the video will just continue with no notice of this because it is after the fact. But had to put that in that is my manga of the week. Okay. Definitely, like I said, go on the Viz Media site yourself. They do have free mangas there. You can read the latest free chapters when they come out. They come out at 9 a.m. Central Time. So if you know Central, if you live in a different time zone, use 9 a.m. Central as your main base, and then you'll figure out when the chapters come out in your time. But Sundays, the Shonen Jump mangas come out. Other ones, different series that I don't read, they come out different days of the week. Like one of them I do read and might put on this list is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. That comes out every Friday. So that's different for the time frames, but it's all pretty cool when they do come out. And again, it's only $2 a month. It's not that hard to support and do. I was part of the, non-scanlations, legal scanlations team for a long time, because obviously that's a main way to get into manga. But if you want to help the team that does all these manga drawings, Achira Oda, Kite Kubo, who used to be the Bleach writer, Masahiro Sakura, I'm Sakura Smash Brothers, I'm stupid, Masashi Kishimoto, who did Naruto and is currently doing Samurai 8. If you want to promote them and help them out, that's a good site to do it. Even though, again, it's $2 a month, you don't think it's a lot, but $2 across the span of people, that equals up to a lot for the producers and the companies that do translate this and get the mangas out there. So please leave a like below if you liked this video. Comment what you're currently reading. Any good recommendations for me would be awesome. I would love to see what you think of your certain series, why you want me to read it, and why it's not as amazing as One Piece, but it can get there. Please, again, leave like, comment below. Subscribe, because these are come out every Sunday or Monday, depending on when I'm able to review. Today's goes up today, day of when these were released, so I'm really happy about that. Hope you guys enjoy them yourself too. And while you're watching this video, might have noticed there's a bit of music in the background. Yeah, experimenting with that, because it's kind of boring just being in a quiet room and just talking manga. So I don't have enough vocalizations to be able to enjoy being loud and talking about the cities, but we'll get to enjoy what we can here. So alright guys, well, I hope you all have a blessed rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next time when we read The Fray. Peace out.